Hello guys, welcome to my channel. So in this video I am going to explain about the microservices roadmaps for this year 2026. So before learning microservices, so what are the things that you should be knowing? So what are the prerequisites for learning this microservices? So first is Java. Yeah, you should be knowing one programming language. Like in this video we will be using Java, so that's why Java you can use. And you should know one framework, that is for Java. Spring Boot is the best framework, so I am using Spring Boot. And also if you want to connect your application to the database, then you should know the databases as well. So I am using MySQL database. And finally, if you want to deploy your microservice to any of the cloud platforms, then you should be having some cloud knowledge like AWS or GCP, so where we will be deploy our application on your EC2 instances. So now let's check what are the microservices roadmap. So yeah, this is the microservices roadmap. The first is we will learn about the microservices fundamentals, like what is microservices and why we are moving from monolithic to microservices, the differences between them, and also the microservices architecture. Once this is done, so we will build our first microservice. So we will build a one simple microservice, so that is running locally with multiple services. And later that we will talk about inter-service communications. In that we will talk about the different ways the microservices communication, that is asynchronous communication and asynchronous communication. And in that we talk about the Feign client and implementation, handling timeouts and retries. Like if one microservice wants to call another microservice, so how do we handle the timeouts and retries, circuit breaker pattern, and rate limiters. For rate limiters we will be using resilience 4J, so we will be also looking on that. Next, fourth topic, we will come to the service discovery. So we will see what is service discovery, how do we implement service discovery, and how the services, multiple services are getting registered automatically, and the client side load balancing. So we will see all these topics. Then centralized configuration, like for example, if there are multiple microservices which are using the same configuration, so what is the problem we face with microservices in this configuration, and how do you implement centralized configuration and dynamic configuration refresh. Like for example, if you update centralized configuration, how does all the microservices will see that new value, so that is the dynamic configuration refresh. So we will see all that. And API gateway, so why microservices need an API gateway and how do we implement API gateway, everything we can see that there only we can implement authentication, authorization as well. And coming to logging and monitoring, a centralized logging for microservices, like there are multiple microservices, right? Where do you store the logs for all these microservices? And distributed tracing, like how do if a request is coming to one microservice and it passed through multiple microservices, how do you trace that request from the start till the end? So that is what we will be learning in a distributed tracing. And monitoring the microservices metrics and visualizing metric dashboards, that is related to monitoring. Then we come to event driven microservices, like what is event driven architecture, we'll going to explain that. Then messaging systems for microservices, that is producer consumer event, and Kafka and RabbitMQ, these are all messaging systems, basically used for asynchronous communication. We will be also seeing that. And microservices security, so as we all know that security, how do you implement security, you can be using JWT or OAuth or gateway based authentication. So we will see all these security topics as well. And containerization, like how do you containerize your microservices. Once the microservices are developed, you need to containerize it, you can build the image and then deploy the microservices, right? So we will see containerization. So this is the last topics. Like before that, I'll do a one video on the Docker containerization as well. Then finally we are deploying the microservices, like we are deploying the microservices to the cloud environment like AWS or GCP. So this is basically the roadmap for the microservices 2026. So we will be going through all these topics one by one. So yeah, if you have any doubts, please feel to type it in the comment section. And thank you so much for watching.